first woman regional engineer public works. So that's quite an achievement. So yeah, the tide is shifting, really. The tide is shifting. More women are entering STEM programs and built environment professions. More female architects are sitting at decision-making tables. Here in Ghana, women architects are still shaping the built environment. So I believe that there's still hope for the future. Yeah. What do we need to do? I have a few nuggets of wisdom for all of us, a few takeaways for you. So I want us to be resilient and confident because it's not an easy terrain. When we had the breakout sessions, people had a lot of issues, bosses, superiors, men, etc. But you really have to be tough because it is not an easy terrain. You have to stand out and stand up. Also, I'd like to say that embrace your unique self. I mean, we all come with God-given potential, God-given ideas, God-given. We are unique in our own selves, in the way God created us. Don't try to be somebody else. And there's this issue of trying to walk like somebody, trying to wear somebody, dress like how somebody else is. But you are unique. No two people have the same DNA. We are all different in the way God created us. So embrace your unique self, stand out. And then women also have very gifted soft skills that we bring to bear. We are very different from men. So let us leverage on our soft skills and then we can move forward in life. What do we need to do? This is a great forum to pick our mentors and to pick our mentees. Let us work together as women. Let us help each other as women. Let us not be, as it were, be seen to be wicked or not opening the door for others. Let us open the door for others. So mentorship is key. Mentorship has helped and brought me far. And when I say mentorship, it shouldn't just be about men. My main mentor is an 80-year-old man, and he's a fantastic. Even yesterday, he came to visit me. And there's so much knowledge that he downloads to me. So be open and listen to. Mentorship shouldn't also just be in your profession. It could be in any other profession. Because really, as I rise up, I practice less of architecture and do more of leadership and management. So as you rise up, you need to learn management, you need to learn leadership, you need to learn so much, how to relate to people, how to work with people. It really boils down to working with people. So as much as you have your individual professions, learn to get good mentors, get good proteges as well, and work with them. And my last bit is the God factor. How would I do without God? God has been amazing in my life. And I believe that you all have a belief system. Whatever you believe in, hold on well with it, hold on true to it, and subscribe to it as much as hold on to it, I mean, for want of a better word. And whatever you believe in will work for you. So I end my session with Jessica again. So now Jessica is actually wearing the hard hat. She's at Ashesi University reading computer engineering. So what I want to tell you ladies is, and gentlemen, that it is possible. It is indeed possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Architect Gloria Nanaya Nati. It is possible. Thank you. What do you think we should do again? I like it. I like you already. We are working collaboratively. Fantastic. So we have our last speaker, TED Style Talk. I'd like to invite Patricia Eduse Poku. She's a chairperson. She's a lawyer for the Lawyers Hub in Kenya. I read summarized profile. Okay, there she is. The only African woman commissioner on the Global Committee for Responsible AI in the Military Domain, is a seasoned data protection and privacy expert who has held leadership roles globally, including as Ghana's Data Protection Commissioner, Head of Data Protection at the London 2012 Olympics, and Chairperson of Lawyers Hub in Kenya. Please let's welcome Patricia Edusei.
Oh, what a day we've had. I've learned so much. The first thing I want to correct in the introduction is that I'm not a lawyer. So I am the chair of the Lawyers Hub. Lawyers love me. They see me, fortunately for me, as a learned friend, but not a lawyer, so I want to make that clear. I've learned so much today. I don't know about you. I'm quite happy and glad that I'm the last speaker. Am I the last speaker? Okay, so more or less I feel like I'm summarizing everything I've heard today because they've taken on my presentation. They have said everything that I would have said if I was the first speaker today. And so I will build what I have learned today into my test-style talk of 15 minutes, and you will need to stop me because I can go on till the cows come home. So I will build my learnings into the milestones of my life story so that it reflects everything that we have heard today in a way that you will see that we are not saying different things, but we are conveying the same message, especially to our young ladies here who are up and coming, aspiring future leaders of Ghana. And again, I want to say thank you to Anatu for putting something like this together, and the team, of course, for bringing something like this together, because it gives us the opportunity to prove to the world that women are not gatekeepers, that we are not blocking other women from growing. Otherwise, this will not be happening. This is for women by women. So it is a good example of women opening doors for other women and allowing the rest of us to learn from our peer women, even to assure ourselves that we are doing the right thing. So I've really enjoyed today. I've already been introduced. I'm Patricia, and I will tell you from the beginnings of my career and put the milestones in as advice for those listening. So from the age of 21, I've worked for government. I left Ghana after sixth form and went to the UK, where I was originally born, to carry on studying. So my father put me in the Guildhall University in London to study law. And so I went in there, stayed with family. And by the middle of the first year, I quit university. I left. You would ask me why? Because I found a boyfriend. I really loved him. I wanted to get married. And as a young girl, I've always loved the family system. I come from a close-knit family where my parents stayed together until my dad died a few years back. So I'm used to the close-knit family system. And from a very young age, I wanted to have many children and be married. And I liked the idea of marriage. So I fell in love with this guy. And I quit school. I quit law school, and I just wrote. In those days, we didn't have emails, and like years ago, but it's really recent past. I wrote to my dad in the foldable mail letter to Ghana, said I can't do it again because I want to be married. My dad never stepped in my way, even though he was my champion. He spent so much time. My dad himself, a barrister. Law is in the family. My dad's a barrister. My daughter is now a barrister too. I've lived my life growing with lawyers. I'm not surprised I'm the board chair of Lawyers Hub. It happens naturally in my life. So I quit law school. I got married. I had my babies, and I had another baby. And as fate will have it, marriage ended. We won't get into that. That's another whole long story. But I left. And so my first advice for you, that's my first milestone, is that be responsible for your own actions. My parents ensured that when you make a decision, they support you. They don't tell you off. And they didn't really, I didn't get a harsh letter for leaving school. They stayed back and let me do it. They received my husband's dowry and everything. We had this big engagement, and I carried on. I made family, and I had my daughters. But by age 26, I'd gone through divorce. What did I do? So this is the second advice I give you. Setbacks are normal for life. When you get a setback, it's time to have your reflections. You reflect about the decisions you made, and then you find a way to plow on. Again, today we've heard twice. First from Professor Azietu, and we've also heard from my sister, the engineer, sorry, I missed her name, Laurie, about the God factor. I have it too. Everyone should believe in something. You believe in God or Allah or something, but whatever you believe in becomes you. So I have this intuitive spirit, this discerning spirit that tells me it's time to do the reflection, time to make a new decision. The divorce happened, but I didn't wallow in self-pity. So don't wallow in self-pity when you have your setbacks. Don't let incidents or milestone in your life repress you and drive you into depression. Growing up in Ghana, we never heard the word depression. I only heard it lately, very late in my life, because I was in a different environment where people talk about how they're feeling in a very negative way. We didn't have those words here. You pick up yourself, you dust yourself, and you move. And my God factor in these situations is in Philippians 4, where Paul says, I plow on. You plow on when things happen, and you be content with what you have, and you plow on and hope for the best. So I had to make a new decision. The decision I made at that point in my life is to go back to university. Go back and study what I left. It was more difficult. It wasn't as easy as doing it as a single girl, sponsored by your parents who paid your fees. This time, I had to pay my fees. I had to work. I had to take care of young children, same time. The next advice I'll give you is be determined. Focus on your goal and stick to it. Let passion drive you. When you know what you want, you go for it. I remember speaking to one lady at work during those times, Joan of beloved memory, about something that she had achieved. And she said, Pat, if you want something badly enough, you will go for it and you will get it. If you want something badly enough, go after it. Do what it takes to get it, and you will definitely have it. And so I went back to university, studying this time part-time evenings, working full-time, managing 2 young children. It was very tough, but I was so determined to do it. In the end, I had to bring my daughters home for my parents to help me at a point because of childcare. So my children stayed in Ghana for 7 years. I studied computing science in the evening, working full-time. So after 6 p.m. every day, peak time driving from where I worked to university. Those who know the UK, driving through the Blackwall Tunnel at 6 p.m. trying to get to lectures is madness. But I did it. For 7 years, I studied part-time evening, working full-time, being a mother. I did my degree in computing science, studying part-time evenings, and I added onto that my master's, my MBA in project management and consultancy, non-stop 7 years. And I already heard it said this morning, no social life, no running around to wild parties, no big house parties, no running around doing, I'm going to see my friend, no chin wag, no gossiping. I more or less shut some people out and focused on my books because I must correct the gap I had created in my life. So when things happen, dust yourself, do that inward reflection, and take a side step and move up because you can do it. Only you can champion your own cause. Another thing my father said to me, that if you don't say I am, no one will say thou art. And so you need to believe in yourself. Believe in your capabilities and what you can achieve. And push yourself. Again, another advice. You are responsible for your own self-development. With all that we are saying here, you can listen and choose not to do it. But if you want to do it, then you will be responsible for that decision and what it takes to drive you to achieve that goal. When I saw that I had made a mistake by leaving education, I had to correct it. I was so determined to make it good that I did not worry about the traffic, the evening studying. Not only did I study from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. every night, but there was, fortunately in Europe, there are certain facilities that we don't have here, but there's midnight library. There's 24 hours library. I found myself sitting in the library at 2 a.m., getting on top of my assignments so that I can, because I can't do it during working hours when other full-time students are doing their work. So I had to do it in the middle of the night. Wake up in time to get to work early so that your work responsibilities will not be left to the side. Everything you do, another God statement, everything you do, do it diligently. Do it diligently as if you are doing it for God himself, so that you don't let any side down. If you are a team player at work, you need to hold forth, do your bit so that you don't leave your responsibilities for other team members to do. If you do that, their upset will impact you and upset your goal too. So you need to ensure that you are bringing all of these things together. Speaking to yourself, I like advising myself. I look at my situation and I give myself a pat advice. I listen to the situation, what I'm going through. Then I sit myself down and advise myself. When you advise yourself like that, you give yourself very good advice. You give yourself very good, because you know yourself better than anyone else around you. You know exactly what you are into and what you need, what you want, what you have to do to get there. Then don't be shy to ask for help. In this, I just mentioned that I brought my children home for a while. I had to come back, rolling back to my parents and say, I've realized that you were right. Help me so that I can get my life back in order. And they obviously helped me. Go to people who know how to get to your I've heard some slang on Ghanaian streets, follow who know road. You follow those who are doing the kind of things that you want to do. Choose your friends wisely. In these times in your life, if you don't have good friends who will support your cause, they will drag you down. Find people who are equally minded, on your wavelength, people who will understand what you're doing, and ask them for support. Find friends who are also studying. Find friends who are also getting into the same business that you want to get into. And you will find that you motivate each other. And so I did it. And when I finished my university courses, I had my master's together. Within the same government office that I worked in, I was moved from the frontline work into the technology department. I started doing some computing programs because I had just finished computing science, decided to do some programming, but programming is not me. It's not me at all. Though I knew that, in fact, when I wanted to go back to study, I didn't choose law because I get bored sitting down reading. That's the first thing that actually drove me out of, because the reading was too much. I like to talk to people. I like to engage. I need to, see faces and deal with people. And so I quickly knew that law wasn't for me. And then I went to do computing science because I was so challenged. I wanted to take the toughest course and beat it. And be successful at it. So I decided to do computing science. This is the early 90s when we had just started having computers on our desks, and we had only been recently giving computers per head each. It used to be 4-1, 3-1. Then we all had our own on our desk, and I thought, I'll go and do computing science and start programming. I did it. Tough. My programming results was quite difficult, but I passed my computing science with honors. I came back. I was put in the programming team at work. Very quickly, I realized that programming is not for me. If I have to isolate myself from people, crack my head, put a code together, I get bored very quickly. So I went to see management and let them know that I can't do programming, but I still want to do technical savvy stuff. This was at the point where, like I said, computers had come to the office. We were now moving hard manual documentation into digitized documents. The UK was at that stage in the early 90s when they were converting to digitizing. Where Ghana is right now is where they were at that time, trying to digitize all their data. So I had, by that time, been working in like 4 different government offices. I'd worked in housing, I'd worked in leisure services, I'd worked with social workers, I'd worked in different office environments, and now I was with the technical people. And so who best was asked to go and discuss with the business side so that the technical people can build the software for them? Me, I like to engage with people. I like to connect. Every name you mention, oh yeah, I know him. Oh yeah, I know her. So I was the best person to go into the business. And then I was, to the technical people too, I was the best person to explain how the business wants to receive the software, because I understood frontline work. And so with that knowledge, I was able to become the person, the office guru who could really converse with management and understand what the management want. And then, because I'd done the computing science, convert it to technical speak so the technical people can build an appropriate software that is easy for management to use. Another advice to you is learn to use your transferable skills. Whatever you are into now, there are skills you have that can be transferred onto the new thing you've always wanted to do. Don't think what you're doing now is irrelevant in the context of your life. Everything happens for a reason. Everything for a reason. Whatever you are doing now is definitely in line with where you want to get to. Whatever you are into now, whether you are doing national service or you're studying or you're with family, you're selling, the skills you gain from there are transferable into where you actually want to go to. And so always I teach people to put together learning logs. If you have a log, you can sit on your PC and always, whatever you engage with, like today, you've been on the conference, you need to go and log what you have learned today, because you will need it tomorrow to maybe build a CV or to explain at an interview what you've been involved with or what experiences you've had. It's all relevant. It's all relevant. So I used my experience of working in the government offices to convince the management of the technical department that I'm very capable of bridging the gap. Bridging the gap between technical people and management people. And this is the career that I have now. I have forever been bridging the gap between technical people and management, because every time the management needs something, technical people think about it quite differently. Legal people think differently. So in my career, I deal with legal people, then I deal with technical people, and then general business people. I understand what the legal requirements are. I know what it means to businesses in terms of converting it into policies. So what policies must we put together so that we are compliant with the law? And then I turn and speak to the technical people to help us with ICT, to black people in that space. It's a very white man's kind of space. It's a very men-dominated kind of space. Masculine, because IT people traditionally were men. They understood technology, and then they had to now deal with the laws when the laws came, because people were using technology to abuse people's rights. It was a male-dominated field. Certainly not a black girl's, let alone an African woman's field. But I found myself in the space because of how I had drawn together my transferable skills. Very early on in my career, I'd go for meetings and I'd be the only woman, maybe, only black woman, not Jamaican or black or African, but an African. Was very unheard of in the spaces that I used to work in the late 90s coming into the 2000s. I'll be the only black person there. But I was rising. I was rising in the business, in the companies that I've worked in for government. We talk about the glass ceilings. How did I break the glass ceilings? You need to know who you are. Forget color. I say this because in Europe, color is one of the big things that hinder people, give them that self-doubt that we've heard about today. We had Shamima mention self-doubt, and Dr. Aziatu also mentioned self-doubt. I have experienced it firsthand. Sometimes you really worry, but I read a book. The book you can look for it, is from Susan something. Feel the fear, but do it anyway. Find that book. Download it from Amazon. There's a soft version called Feel the Fear, but do it anyway. So to even approach a white boss and say that I think I can do this, it was daunting. So many layers of rows above where you are sitting. But somehow, because of the way I carry myself confidently, that I speak at meetings, I speak my mind, please. I will be told off, but if I believe in the truth, I cannot. If I believe this is the truth, you can't repress me. I will speak it. I have spent a lot of my time defending the minority, defending innocent victims of various kinds, vulnerable people in different ways, defending them, because I believe in the truth. And so I'm noticed everywhere I go. And somehow it drew the spotlight onto me. And I became the head of service in no time, because I speak out, I'm able to deliver, and I'm able to challenge the status quo. Data protection, when it arrived, had never been a part of government arm or business. People ask, data what? What are we protecting? And you need to be able to explain it and defend it and let people know that it is something that needs doing. And so I was able to explain it, and that opened doors for me, because even my boss could not explain. So, Pat, come with me. Come and tell them what it's about. And they opened doors, and I walked in. And I explained it to make sense. Read around the subject. What you want to do, what you want to be. Everything concerning that thing, read about it. Someone said to me, explain to people as if I've been doing it every day of my life. So I interview well. When you give me an interview opportunity, I will explain, I'll give you examples, I'll give you case studies, as if that's what I do every day. So I got opportunities, doors were opened for me, I became the head of service. And then eventually, the Olympics was coming to London. They had to do everything. They had to do data protection too. And who else can be called to do this? But those who are able to speak boldly about it and explain too. So I was invited to become the head of service for data protection, Olympics 2012, the head of data protection for the big world project. This was a good opportunity for me. Just before that, I had volunteered. I had volunteered to go to the London Office of National Statistics to go about doing the collecting population census, leading a team of 5, collected the census for a whole London borough, and I was just paid little for doing it. But I volunteered and I did it. That's how I was noticed. And then the door was opened for me to head this for the London Olympics. I was managing 100 and something databases. These are not small databases. All the databases of athletes, volunteers, drivers, name it, we had a database for it. 106 databases, managed all in their thousands and hundreds of thousands. I was responsible for it. So I did this, and I did it again, reminding you, diligently. Staying late, seeing to the bottom of it, challenging even the MI6. Now when I think about it, I look back and I'm thinking, Pat, what were you thinking about? You know, you had to justify every access to the data. The police, the intelligence people, the security people, people from all over the world, media from all over the world were there. And everyone who wanted to see any bit of data had to come through me. So you had to be tough. I walked into a meeting of the London Transport, because all the trains and the buses would be used at that meeting during the period. They had a meeting, they invited me. I walked into the meeting, and one gentleman there said, we asked for the head of data protection. We asked for the head of data protection. They told us Patricia will be coming. So I said, I am she. This is a big table of about 30 men and about 2 white women. And me, my black-faced African girl, I walked in. So people can say things that can completely deflate you. I tell you this story because they can burst your bubble. They can, with one sentence, finish you. The look on their faces, so disappointed to see me as the person that they were all waiting for. And I was a little bit late too. So they were fully seated when I walked in. And they asked to see the head of service, not me. Well, I said, well, I am she. So if you're not ready for the meeting, please excuse us and let's carry on with the meeting. And then you see all the apologies, people saying, no, well, I don't even agree with what they said. I wasn't one of them, and blah, 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 blah. But you need to be bold. You need to be confident. And then you need to be able to handle difficult situations. You have to be poised to handle difficult comments. Take constructive criticisms. Take it boldly, because it won't always be positive. Someone said they wanted to do a lawyer, they are a lawyer and they wanted to do something, and someone deflated their bubble. Know what you want and look straight at what you want and go for it. Don't let anyone burst your bubble. And people are just people. They are like me. You are sitting down. I'm no better than you. You are no better than me. My Nigerian friend that I studied with is part. We better get on with it. Oh, the people who got the station, they only have one head, 2 hands, and 2 legs. Yeah, we have the same thing, so we are going for it. And she was my champion friend. She says things like this to me, and it challenges me all over again. If someone has had a distinction, I will aim for it. If I don't get it and I get a 2-1, I will thank God. So you need to aim for heaven. Maybe the skies will be your limit, and maybe you will get to the top of where you want to be. But don't belittle yourself. Another God statement: you were fearfully and wonderfully made. So you are unique in what you want to achieve. No one else has been planned to deliver what God has created you to deliver. You are unique in that space. And because I believed that, I managed to lead in a white man's country, lead in positions where men struggle to get attention. And because I don't even see the color. I spent about 10 days in Gibraltar with a group of white colleagues, and there were no black people there for about 10 days. So we were conversing and doing work, and we just walked in the hotel. We walked past a mirror, and I was like, I saw a black woman in the mirror. I had forgotten that I was the only black person amongst white people. But people, my color, really believe in racism. They believe that white people are so racist that it will not give them opportunity. That belief alone has stopped a lot of people from achieving. We don't have that here. But what we have here, from the experience I've had since I've been working in Ghana, is tribe. Hey, this one there, if you are this tribe, you can't do it too. It's for these people. We have politics, party. Hey, this is NDC, this is MP. Please, get rid of that. Believe in who you are and what you want to achieve. Cross boundaries. Be bold to cross boundaries. And deliver what you have to deliver. Unless someone physically opens their mouth to say you can't have it because you are this, even that I will challenge you. Unless I really don't want it. We have so many boundaries. In some countries, the boundaries are on race, on religion. I went to China, there were Ghanaians there, all repressed. Hey, if you say you are Christian here, you'll be in trouble. Oh, I stepped out. They will not kill you. You have to be careful though, but you don't let these invisible boundaries of race, religion, being a woman, this is a man's job, business, don't let it block you from achieving your dream. The positions I've held have traditionally been men's position. After I did the Olympics, I did World Vision International, who came headhunting me after the Olympics, and I was asked to head data protection for 105 countries at the same time. I didn't let it put me off. I have children, but I have empowered my children to know that their mom is very busy. So they believe it, and they empower themselves to get into their studies too, because they want to be like me. I took it on. Every 2 weeks, I was in a different country. Sally is my witness. Every 2 weeks, I was in a different country, working and developing, until the president called me to come and do the same thing for Ghana. Again, I didn't let country boundaries block me. I packed everything and I came. I didn't even know how it was going to be like, but I did. And for 8 years, I was the Data Protection Commissioner in Ghana until this year. So You really need to have your drive. We built it, we sustained it, and now we've handed it over. And now, look at me, I'm standing here explaining all of this to you, and I haven't had any inhibitions about moving. Women need to stand together, and we've heard already today about opening doors, about not being limited. A lot of that is within us. It's not external, it's in our head. A lot of the inhibitions, the blocking, is inside our head. How many women head of institutions did we get in the last government? Not many. I was about one of 10 women who were CEOs of institutions. Many of our women were deputies. But to be given the head of an institution, you need to have impressed somebody. That this person is capable of doing it. So this is why I say you work diligently. You don't know who's watching you. You don't know who's observing. Do your work with all diligence. Stay true. Be honest. Have integrity. And you will be noticed. You will be discovered. Not everyone in the world is so against women or not wanting women. The men have not decided to block us. We have blocked ourselves. I don't think men have decided to block women from coming to the top. They know that the world has changed. They have understood that women are achievers. Our husbands at home, they know what we are capable of doing. In fact, they are even intimidated by our presence. The rest is now on us. We are standing right outside the door. We have to hold the door, turn the lock, and open it. And go in. So, with all the statements we've heard today, I just want to encourage you to change your mindset. Renew your mind. It's also in the Bible. Be transformed. Transformation comes by renewing your mind. You need to renew how you see yourself, the way you think, the way you perceive things, and begin to champion your own cause. When you look at the mirror tomorrow, tell your mirror you are looking at a great achiever. You are looking at a winner. I never see myself any less. This is why I left government office and I've still bounced back. We will fall many times, but we will rise again. We will rise again and we will continue achieving. And so I have come out, I've already set up a new company. It's called the Established, by the way. If you go to www.established.com, it's my new company. And the company is to address all the gaps that I identified in the last 8 years that I was Data Protection Commissioner. Whilst I was Data Protection Commissioner, I was also co-chair of all Commonwealth Data Protection Commissioners with the UKICO. We co-chaired it for the period. I was also president of all the Data Protection Commissioners of Africa. And so I got exposed to a lot of gaps in the African region and globally. I have recently been called to sit on the global committee for looking at AI in the military domain. So we have been traveling the world and having meetings and looking at how AI is impacting innocent and vulnerable people like you and I in the military domains through the weaponization of devices and automated systems. We've seen firsthand what is happening in Israel, in Ukraine, Hamas, and Russia's capability, and we are reporting directly to the NATO. This is an ongoing position that I hold. I'm hearing things that make me shiver as to how the world is about to change so dramatically. And we are looking at the possibilities that AI offers for good and for bad and trying to mitigate the risks. How was I identified? Just going to a conference like this and speaking, I was discovered. I am the only black person on that committee. I speak for Africa in that committee. I was discovered because I was bold enough to step out to do some of this work. Again, Lawyers Hub called me to sit on their board as their chair, not because I'm a lawyer, because they like the way I manage myself and speak. They don't want a peer lawyer to lead the board. They want a neutral mind, and that's how they appointed me as their chair. This week, I've also been asked to fill a nomination to be considered as part of the AI Council for Africa. I'm getting these offers because I believe in myself, not because people believe in me, but because I believe in myself, and I speak not only for myself, but I speak for myself and for all of you here. So you have to, the last advice I'll give you is be willing to share. Be willing to give. It's not all about money. I'm not getting paid for standing here today. It's not about money. So be willing to give what you know to others. We are not blockers. We are not gatekeepers. I've heard these terms today. We are not stopping other young women from growing. Young women, you are stopping yourself. We are not stopping you. If you really want to grow, go for it. Go for it and you will make it. So that's my advice for you today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Wow. I think we can do better. You know, I'll say it. Oh, wow. I'm very inspired. I hope we've all been inspired by these TED Talks. Ask your neighbor, do you believe in yourself? What did they say? They didn't answer. They say yes. That's good. That's good. Fantastic. We will invite MTN to come and tell us about Ejumapa. And whilst they're doing that, we do have the facilitators for the 3 rooms. So you all have 5 minutes. I can see the entrepreneur facilitator is not here. So I'll need a volunteer who was in the entrepreneur session to come and believe in yourself, be bold, stand here and tell us what you discussed. Can I see by hand who's going to volunteer from the entrepreneur? Oh, I like that. Wow. Wow. What's your name? Aram. Wow, okay. Aram, I can't wait to hear from you. So, MTN, Ejumapa.
Hello, everybody. Hi. Have you received some gifts today from MTN? No, nothing from MTN. But that's just odd, though, because in MTN,
One, two. Okay. So we've seen She Builds conference. One would wonder what the event is about. You being one of the keynote speakers at the event, what can you tell us about the entire event and what it aims to achieve?
So Dr. Anatu Mahama has set up a foundation for women, academic women, and general women entrepreneurs, or women building a career in this day and age, to overcome the barriers that exist in the ecosystem, and to see themselves as a builder of great careers that make them unstoppable, that promotes mentorship for up-and-coming new ladies. And so she spoke to me about coming to support what she's doing, and I see it as a very good cause to support, because building a career as a woman is very challenging, or can be. And so for this opportunity for me to give back to up-and-coming women or people that need mentoring, to demonstrate that it is possible to become a successful career woman, a mother in this day and age, is very a worthy cause that I wanted to support.
So mostly we have women, great women, who get the opportunity to assume leadership roles. And mostly when we see such women in those big roles, they tend to gatekeep and they don't really give the opportunity to those at the base level to also rise through the ranks. What do you think we are not doing right? Or if we're actually doing something right, what can we do to eliminate such trends?
I've heard people say women are their own enemies, and this concept of gatekeeping keeps coming up. I don't actually agree with it. I think every woman has an opportunity to build themselves into who they really want to be, and to become an exemplar or a leader that can be followed, a trailblazer. And that idea of them gatekeeping and not giving opportunity is quite misconstrued, because I believe that the woman who has succeeded cannot go out there and call other women to come in, but she needs to be approached. You need to actually go to her and ask for the opportunity, or when opportunities like this arises, I think more women leaders should get involved and speak out like I'm doing, and to tell other women that are up and coming that it is possible, that it can be done, and to enable them to learn from our experience. Getting out there is not something that is offered on a platter to women, but it's something that you need to strive for and work towards or build up. So that I like that concept of that she builds. So if you see a woman at the top and you want to be there, you need to start finding the building blocks for yourself and your dream and where you want to go, and start building, and then ask for support. If you don't ask for support and you wait for support, it might never come. So you don't have to sit and wait for a call out before you decide to go. You need to find what you need to put in there as your stepping stones to get to where you want to go to. Today, we've already heard from Professor Asietu, and she talks about not sitting around developing yourself. You're responsible for your own self-development. You are responsible for engaging. So you need to reach out to the people that you aspire to be like. Befriend them. You don't demand the mentorship. You need to befriend. And we are in a culture of relationship building. It's about whom you know. She said that before, and I'll repeat it this afternoon because it's so important. You need to build a relationship with a leader woman, and you need to also connect and engage positively. You need to have something to give for her to also be attracted to you. It's a give and take world. If I come to you and I say give, you will be put off. So you need to have something to give, even if it's feedback about your aspirations, even if it's feedback about how you feel about her position or how you have perceived her or how you admire. It gives that person the opportunity to turn and look at you and then offer. So it's a give and take situation, and I think sometimes women at the top are actually sidelined. It's lonely up there. You want to connect with people who think along the same wavelength and who are willing to come to you, and then I'm sure everyone will open up, and it's not as selfish as people perceive it. That is it. So the gatekeeping concept, I totally disagree with.
So you made mention of women getting to the top and most of the times getting sidelined. What do you think contributes to such instances of women being sidelined at the top?
It's the same concept of gatekeeping. People thinking that you don't want to be friendly, you don't want to open the door, that the gate is closed, that we must shed these kind of thoughts. It's negativity. I don't like negativity. I'm a very positive thinker. I'm a confident person. I believe in myself. So you go confidently, believing in yourself with something to offer to that person. Even an explanation of your aspiration to be like her. It's a good way to connect with that woman, because we have this mindset that the gate is closed. So well, you end up leaving that woman on her own and not having you to talk to. So it's a two-way dialogue. It's a communication that must come bottoms up and then top down. So for the floodgates to be open for younger women to get the opportunity. It is not a receiving energy. It's a give and take energy. So be ready to do a self-assessment, an internal assessment of yourself and what you have to give to that person in order for them to also open the floodgates for you.
We have young, passionate women who aspire to be more greater than great women that we have in our society. But one question that mostly lingers in their minds is, how do they build the connections? Because we attended the event and we mostly had network, connect. Where do you start from? Some people have issues with that kind of dilemma. Where do they start from? How do they build that connection?
You've just seen me whilst you're waiting to interview me approach other women who I feel are great, even greater than myself. I have approached them. You saw me do it. Introduce myself to them, tell them how inspired I am about what they've just said, that I want the opportunity to speak to them more, and none of them turned me away. They have all shaken my hands, they have given me their contact details, and have encouraged me to contact them. So this is the approach. You need to be willing to take a step forward towards where you want to be. People in the space where you want to grow, find them, look for them, offer to connect with them. I have never known a woman leader actually shoo other young people away. It's never happened as far as I know. But you need the confidence to approach them. You need your own self-confidence. Shed that self-doubt. Someone mentioned it. Shamima Muslim mentioned it this morning. Self-doubt. You really believe that she's not willing to speak to you, and so you don't make the call. Believe that you have something in you that I aspire to also learn. I want to get to know you. So you come telling me what you have that I should learn from, and I will definitely connect with you. And I have several young ladies that are connected to me in that way because they had the confidence to approach me.
Okay, so during the conference also, one of the speakers made mention of women doing greater things, especially in entrepreneurship, but you never see them attend these kind of innovative programs where they get the opportunity or platform to share their experiences, to motivate and inspire other up-and-coming people who would want to also be in their shoes. Why do you think these kind of great programs mostly don't see women embracing it, trying to involve themselves just to take one or two?
I think women, when we hit the top or manage to start something for ourselves, are very challenged. We have to prove that we can make it work. And women get so engrossed in what they are doing. Sometimes people put their head in the sand, get stuck into what they are doing because they feel that they must be in there to keep it going. And so you get so engrossed with what you're doing that you might never stop to look elsewhere. You forget to look, lift your head up and look at what is happening on the external landscape. This has been a very big setback for women because they have managed to start something. It's going on, it's doing well, and sometimes to drop it or delegate it to someone so that you can go try something else can be difficult for fear that it might fall apart. And so women get so engrossed in their business, the lack of trust of the other people that we work with can also be, it's a big issue in the African ecosystem. People who want to take over and or malicious people in the ecosystem that you have employed, that you haven't built trust with. People who own shops and businesses worry about things going wrong, the customers not meeting them there, because usually the customers want to see that owner to deal with. And so there's so many business-related issues that stop women from coming into conferences like this to network and to build more connection. I doubt if it's to do with the lack of opportunity. The opportunities are there. Sometimes they say it's not for them because this one, for example, the way it was coined is called the academic woman. If the entrepreneur sitting in the shop doesn't feel academic, then she's going to say that this is not for me. But you being here now, you see that it's open to more than just academic women, entrepreneurial women, aspirant young ladies are all involved. So sometimes the way we coin the conference must also reflect the opportunities and the scope of who can attend.
So my last but one question, in terms of women representation in the country in general, would you say we are actually on the right path? We are doing something right, or you think we still have a long way to go?
We do have a long way to go if you look at the statistics and the percentage of women who have reached senior leadership. There's a lot of work to do, but certainly it's better than the olden days or the early years of Ghana. Yes, there's so much work. There's more speaking to be done to younger women like us. And I think it should start within the education ecosystem, where now, thank God, more women have an opportunity to go into education, that there should be more possibility of educating the girl child and encouraging her to have more confidence in herself,
network, the confidence to introduce yourself to a peer, or to give positive, or to take even constructive criticism about how to take a shift, be willing to take a side step to then move up, or to connect with mentors, potential mentors, and then to these opportunities need to be built into our education system to put more confidence in our young people. I've seen it happen in Europe and in other parts of the world where the girls don't see themselves below the boy or the male contemporary. Yes. So we need to build more confidence in our girl children.
So when do you think we should move from advocating for women representation to actually demanding accountability for it in our society?
Clarify your question, because I think I may be understanding it differently.
Most often we hear calls for women empowerment, women representation. We advocate for
Gender balance.
exactly. When do you think we should start demanding for what has been done so far?
I don't think it's a demand thing, but the women should speak up. Women need a voice at all levels in society. Women need a voice at the political level, which has been mentioned today, where key decisions are made that benefit education, health, and sectors that women belong to. When we have the right women in the certain key places where women are given a voice in terms of speaking on behalf of women and their needs, then it will change the status quo. And now when the status quo changes, then the doors will be open. Then it will happen naturally. I happened to be in Europe as a younger woman in their 20s, and they were in this situation. Not many years, I'm not as old as you imagine, but not many years ago, there was a big talk about positive action for women. This gender equality was a big government drive for the ecosystem to open up and involve women in leadership and decision making and in government in general. And so I think our government is on the right path to enable women to be part of the ecosystem. And if that drive goes on and increases to the point where it is on the lips of many key decision makers, the doors will open.
What will be your final word to up-and-coming women like me who look up to great women in our society doing marvelous things, making great changes, and then making key decisions that change the course of how we think, how we see things, how we even get inspired?
One thing I've heard today that I really like is that get rid of the self-doubt and don't mix emotions in your journey to the top. These are very critical statements. And believing in yourself. My dad always said, if you don't believe in yourself and say, I am, no one will say thou art. And so you need to believe in yourself, believe in your journey, trust the process, because there are setbacks in the process. Get up, wipe yourself, and move on. There are so many things that set women back: marriage, pregnancy, having children, break from work, criticisms, that you must rise above and get to where you're going and not let anything stop you.
Thank you very much, madam.
I'm the founder and CEO of the Academic Women Foundation, and I'm also an academic. I'm a senior lecturer at Anglia Ruskin University, Peterborough, in the UK. Yeah.
Okay, so what brought about this idea of the She Builds conference?
Okay, so in 2020, I created a global platform called the Academic Women. And at that time, we only focused on telling stories about women who work in the higher education sector. But as time went on, we had people sending in their stories, because this platform also came in the form of a magazine which we published. I'm sure you must have seen a copy on the desk there. So we started receiving stories from people from industry as well. And then we felt that there was need to broaden the scope rather than just focusing on women who work in the higher education sector only. So what we intended to do is to have events that brings together all these women. So rather than just telling stories and publishing them in the magazine, we come together, we share our stories, we get to network as well, which is very important, and to also mentor other women so that it can elevate their career aspirations.
Okay. So my first impression about the also be educated. So what happens to those who may not have had any educational background at all, women who weren't privileged enough to attend education? Seeing academia, it may give them the impression that it's mostly for those who have had some form of education.
Yeah.
Is there any plans to expand the event to cater for those women as well?
Yes, those are fantastic questions. We do have plans. I think the academic woman the name itself means any woman who has been through the university system, who is academic, but also to tell women that anyone can be academic. Academic doesn't mean that it's just you being an engineer and being a doctor. But you, being an entrepreneur, if you innovate something, you do something that opens up a new market opportunity, you are academic. If you use your brains to do something. So yes, even though we say an academic woman, what we're trying to say is that every woman is intelligent. You can contribute in whatever field you do. With regards to the informal sector, this is very key, and we do have plans with that. This is why this is the first step. We're not just forming strategies, or we're not just pushing for strategies and building solidarity just among the professionals that are here, but we're hoping that this can influence policy so that governments can look at how they can support women who are in the informal sector in terms of training, skills development, basic skills that would allow them access to finance to improve their businesses, for example. So these are all issues that we'll be looking at. So we've got a big plan in place, but it's work in progress. Rome was not built in a day, so we'll get there.
Yeah. So when it comes to women in entrepreneurship, one of the key challenges they tend to face has to do with funding and capital.
Yeah.
What do you think would help eliminate such issues from recurring, helping women who have the passion to be entrepreneurs, but due to lack of funding, they are not able to venture into that kind of sector?
Again, another great question. So, again, it depends on policy, which allows women to have access to finance. But most importantly, there are also women who don't have that knowledge to even know where to go to source this finance or to get the help they need, and that is why education training is key. The second thing I would say is that women in the informal sector need to be looked at in that regards as well. So in terms of the access to finance, we're still on that, yes. The other thing that women in the informal sector lack is networking. Whether we like it or not, it's about who you know. So if you have women in the informal sector who are not here with us to meet people and network, how will they even know who to approach? So that's why the skills and training development are all important. Workshops to create awareness, but all will depend on government policy as well. Pushing for policies that takes a critical look at the contributions of those in the informal sector. I think one of the speakers mentioned that 80% of women entrepreneurs, there are about 80% of women entrepreneurs in the informal sector. So how do we support these women? And some of them make very big turnovers. So that is one of the key things that policy would have to address. Yeah.
So my last question would be, what would be your message for a young person like me? So I'm using myself as an example to better explain my question well.
Yeah.
So I'm in the media landscape, and I am trying to venture into a new skill. It was one of the topics that came up during the conference, which I was asking about. So with me as an example, how do I shift from the media that I find myself in now to starting all over in a new industry or in a new skill? How do I juggle the two? Because the fear that I have currently is that I have to start all over afresh. What if it fails? What if it it doesn't become successful as I envision it to be. What would you be your message to young girls like me who have this kind of fear in themselves?
Okay, so let me say this. Everybody has doubts. There's always this fear of the unknown, how do I take that step? What if I fail? But do not let that hold you back. Let me just share something my 18-year-old daughter told me when I started this foundation, and she's the one who's been championing conferences. She keeps telling me, Mom, if you want this to be big, you need to organize the events. If I'm planning anything, I involve my children when I'm planning things, and I'm planning with her, she just tells me, Mom, just do it. Just do it. The worst case scenario is that if it doesn't go well, you learn something from it. And that knowledge, you're meant to use that to develop yourself, to not let that pull you down or make you feel low about yourself or think you're a failure. I know you know. Never be afraid to take that next step. Take it. I always tell people, I did a PhD with 2 little children, and there are many women. You heard Prof when she spoke. She studied with children. And by just doing a PhD, the number of friends have been able to inspire to also do it because I saw it doable with children. But most importantly, what I tend to tell people is that take that step before you realize the time is up. You've achieved it. But if you don't take that step, you keep planning it and it will never happen. So what I would just tell anybody who has doubts about doing anything is that take that step. Yeah. You're welcome. Thank you.
By planes, pencil slim with their very A-line tailored skirts and everything. So I wanted to really be an air hostess. In terms of my family background and values, I believe I was somewhat suited because I'm an only girl. I have 4 brothers. I have 3 half-sisters and 4 half-brothers. Basketball and hockey and all the boisterous games. So that sort of made me very tough and sturdy. In terms of values too, of course, most of us are Christians or Muslims, so I'm Catholic. And my mom was like more than Hail Mary. I'm always in church. Every Sunday we'll have to go to church and we'll have to go for confession on Saturday. And my mother was a member of the Christian Mothers Association. So even on Saturday we have to go and sweep the chapel and then arrange flowers and all that. And then my mother was also a matriarch of her family. My grandmothers, both paternal and maternal, were also matriarchs. They were very strong personalities, strong women. And so I grew up with these values, the femininity, not only that, but for me, what I saw as a young girl was the woman being in charge and being a very strong personality. So that was how I grew up. Yeah, so in terms of my journey, Wesley Girls, University of Ghana, Faculty of Law, 1986, 1987, Ghana Law School, Makola, marriage, then practicing as a lawyer at about 3 different law firms. I started with Lai, all of them corporate and then litigation. And then I went to Justice Suva Akufo just before she was made a Supreme Court judge. I was working with her. And then I also worked at Law Trust. And then I transitioned into human rights. I started doing pro bono work at the International Federation of Women Lawyers, became their national secretary, and then I also worked with the African Women Lawyers Association. So for all of that, it was basically pro bono. I wasn't being paid for that, but I was offering free legal services for indigent women and children. And the question we ask is that, are we truly at the center? As for me, I've always been in the center. Me, I have always been in the center, larger than life, taking over, controlling, being in charge. Sometimes I'll go to the classroom or somewhere and I'll go and sit somewhere quietly. Then, who should lead? Who should be in charge of this or that? Nana Oye. So I'll just go and hide somewhere. Still, they'll look out for me and then say, Nana Oye. So are we truly at the center? We're talking generally. Are we truly at the center as women? Just yesterday, we had a cabinet session and I presented a paper on women's representation. It was very interesting. But to say that the president he was like our main supporter. He actually took over. And I was very happy with how the discussions went on. So we are still struggling. We are still was the center. So if you asked me, I would say that if it's women plural at the center, we have the first female vice president. We have quite a number of women at the top level of national governance. When you look across the political parties, we also have women in politics. We're still not at the center. But, well, it's debatable. And I'm hoping. So, this is about my family background. To apply the law, and we came up with an HIV policy, and 1 decade later, we now even have an Act of Parliament. Another example of using the law out of the courtroom and out of the corporate space is on abortion, and I'm very proud about that. I realized that in our criminal code, you couldn't have an abortion and it was a crime. But there were exceptions to the rule. So if it will affect your mental health, you can terminate. If you go and do a scan and you realize that the child has not been formed properly, is abnormal, or the fetus cannot survive, you can terminate. But what was happening is that the perception across Ghana was that abortion was a crime. So together with some doctors, Dr. Brookman Emisa, Dr. Taylor, and a few others, Jehuapia, we started, and Professor Sai, Fred Sai, may he rest in peace, we started campaigning for our healthcare system to be changed, for doctors to be trained, for pharmacists to be retrained, so that they will provide for abortion under the law. And several decades or 2 decades or whatever later, now I'm sure you can walk into some healthcare facilities, and if you want to have an abortion and it is permissible under the law, you will get that termination of pregnancy. Here again, together with stakeholders and other partners, I was able to apply the law out of the courtroom out of corporate practice to make sure that women in Ghana would be able to terminate pregnancies once it is within the law. And not only that, make sure that pharmacists would provide the correct medication to facilitate that. And also, if it is like a second trimester or whatever, the obstetrician gynecologist would be able to terminate it in a medical facility. So these are the ways that one used to apply the law. So this was when I was called to the bar in 1992 with my friend Leslie. Apart from that, in doing this work, I did a lot of activism, demonstrations. I'm queen mother of demonstrations in Ghana. Would do a whole plan, and then would do demonstrations. I remember once, it must have been 2007 or so, we walked barefoot. We mobilized about maybe 50 people, and we walked barefoot from the Supreme Court to the Black Star Square. And our thing was that there were human rights violations. Pregnancy, and also making sure that women get fewer women die from giving birth, maternal mortality. A lot of women were dying when they go and give birth, they bleed to death, and all that. So I did a lot of work on that, and I've carved a niche in that in terms of reproductive health, public health, and human rights law. So I've talked to you about what we did in championing human rights, and I'll just give examples. Initiative. It's we did a lot of human rights monitoring in Ghana. And so when there were human rights violations, what we do would be, I would try and address them. And I'll give a few examples. For instance, the military went to some islands in the Volta Lake, Dija Islands, and you can Google all of this. And they sought to eject the communities on the Dija Islands. And then when they did that, we issued press releases together with Amnesty International. Evicted. We also raised the human rights violation issues on that. There was also, I think here, this one. There was also Angloga in Keta. And all that. And so government subsequently set up a committee to investigate. Apart from that, I also recall 40 Ghanaians being being killed in the Gambia. 40 Ghanaians were killed in Gambia. So there again, filed a case against Republic of Ghana. We went to ECOWAS courts to file Ghanaians were killed in the Gambia, and then I think they awarded $500,000 in compensation. So one has done quite a lot of these cases. I can go on and on and on and on about it. From a global perspective also, we did a lot of work because Africa women had similar issues and problems. So for instance, we, together with other African women leaders, we agitated and
policy for children who get in trouble with the law. We were also able to create a formal social protection system. When they announced and said I was Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, I'm like, what the heck is social protection? So I started reading, I Google started.
On the Global Committee for Responsible AI in the Military Domain, is a seasoned data protection and privacy expert who has held leadership roles globally, including as Ghana's Data Protection Commissioner, Head of Data Protection at the London 2012 Olympics, and Chairperson of Lawyers Hub in Kenya. Please let's welcome Patricia Edusei.
Ooh, what a day we've had. I've learned so much. The first thing I want to correct in the introduction is that I'm not a lawyer. So I am the chair of the Lawyers Hub. Lawyers love me. They see me, fortunately for me, as a learned friend, but not a lawyer, so I want to make that clear. I've learned so much today. I don't know about you. I'm quite happy and glad that I'm the last speaker. Am I the last speaker? Okay, so more or less I feel like I'm summarizing everything I've heard today because they've taken on my presentation. They have said everything that I would have said if I was the first speaker today. And so I will build what I have learned today into my test-style talk of 15 minutes, and you will need to stop me because I can go on till the cows come home. So I will build my learnings into the milestones of my life story so that it reflects everything that we have heard today in a way that you will see that we are not saying different things, but we are conveying the same message, especially to our young ladies here who are up and coming, aspiring future leaders of Ghana. And again, I want to say thank you to Anatu for putting something like this together, and the team, of course, for bringing something like this together, because it gives us the opportunity to prove to the world that women are not gatekeepers, that we are not blocking other women from growing. Otherwise, this will not be happening. This is for women by women. So it is a good example of women opening doors for other women and allowing the rest of us to learn from our peer women, even to assure ourselves that we are doing the right thing. So I've really enjoyed today. I've already been introduced. I'm Patricia, and I will tell you from the beginnings of my career and put the milestones in as advice for those listening. So from the age of 21, I've worked for government. I left Ghana after sixth form and went to the UK, where I was originally born, to carry on studying. So my father put me in the Guildhall University in London to study law. And so I went in there, stayed with family. And by the middle of the first year, I quit university. I left. You would ask me why? Because I found a boyfriend. I really loved him. I wanted to get married. And as a young girl, I've always loved the family system. I come from a close-knit family where my parents stayed together until my dad died a few years back. So I'm used to the close-knit family system. And from a very young age, I wanted to have many children and be married. And I liked the idea of marriage. So I fell in love with this guy. And I quit school. I quit law school, and I just wrote. In those days, we didn't have emails, and like years ago, but it's really recent past. I wrote to my dad in the foldable mail letter to Ghana, said I can't do it again because I want